Hi guys, this is Emily Brooks, and I'm going to talk you through my section of our PD plan. I did the section on writing templates, so let's go see. Writing templates, I really wanted to do this piece because I use them in my class every day. I use templates all the time, and I think that they really provide guidance and structure for students that may not understand content-specific writing expectations. That's really common with older writers. They might, they know how to write, but they don't know what it is that their teachers want from them. So, when I click on background and examples, it takes me to a page that looks like this. This is some of the background information that I found. I actually, in my research, found a lot about the They Say, I Say template from Graf and Birkenstein. This is something that I've used in my classroom for a really long time, but I had no idea whose original idea it was. But it was cool to kind of find and read about it. I use it as an argumentative template. I use it with informational text, but you can really use it with a lot of different things. It's very versatile. The next template I have on here is a template that I actually created for my students to use in making constructed responses for the English 2 EOC. This is something that they have to memorize. It can be modified to ask students to find any sort of textual evidence or to kind of explain author's intent or purpose for writing, and you can use that through several different subject areas, I would think. The next one that I found is a math-specific structured writing guide. I did not create this. I found it in a guide for writing responses in mathematics. But what I really like about this template is that it asks students to kind of delineate the problems that they're doing. First I do this, then I do this, my answer is, and this is why it makes sense. It's kind of like a thinking through strategy that really shows that they're learning the concepts. And then finally, this is a kind of a thing from science that I found. When I was talking to my science teacher friend down the hall from me, she says she doesn't really use a lot of templates, but she does expect a certain structure when students write in her classroom, and especially when they do experiments and things like that, and they have to write about them. So this is more of a checklist, but while it seems really simple, it really ensures that students are accurately explaining each piece of the experiment or the information in a thorough manner. So that's the type of template that she uses in her classroom. And then this is the rubric that I made. This can be modified to be, more content specific, more or less columns, things like that. But it's really very simple. It asks that students follow directions in a thoughtful way and, use their grammar skills, things like that. But this is very easy to modify. The next piece is video resources and directions. This looks like this. A couple of the videos I found, this one here is how to construct a basic explanatory paragraph. That's something that I feel like all secondary students need to know how to do in all different classrooms. The second video is how to do a 2-column proof in math. It's actually a geometry proof, but it's an excellent resource for understanding, why they need to write proofs and why that can be helpful in math class, not just how to do it. The directions that I have for teacher implementation are very, very simple. Basically, I just say that templates are most effective when used frequently. If you only use it once, then your students are only going to look at it once. They're not really going to be able to do it consistently. I also say that while students don't necessarily need to memorize templates, it's important for them to be familiar enough with it to remember the basic structure. It can encourage deeper thinking, create more clearly articulated writing. The steps I have here is that it should definitely be introduced with a teacher model. When you're first working with templates, you should make sure that the text that students are writing about, or the math problem, or the experiment or whatever, is something that students feel comfortable with so that they can more easily work with the structure, because that's really what they're learning the first time you do templates with them. Typically, when I teach it, I model it one sentence at a time. I ask the students to help me. They can always try it on their own, but this can be scaffolded more or less as needed for each class. You can do more modeling, you can do less modeling. And then I even have some of my higher level students create their own templates or allow them to deviate from the templates when they think it's necessary. This can help them break free of the template structure and start kind of writing their own well thought out thoughts, which sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And then the last piece that I have is the professional development. What I did here is I kind of made like a PD worksheet where I talk about different subjects: English, history, math, science, foreign language, CTE, what kind of writing or templates they might actually already do in their classrooms, even though they don't realize it. Almost all of these subjects, somewhere in the standards, has something that refers to writing. What does writing typically look like in their classroom? How can they kind of think of a template that they might use? What kinds of ideas that they have? And then how this helps students become better writers. So what I did is I did an example of what this might look like with math teachers. So in the North Carolina Math 1 standards, they do have a couple of different standards that talk about writing, or at least you can interpret it that students write down these things. If they justify a chosen solution method and each step of solving the process of linear and quadratic equations using reasoning, you can kind of assume that that's writing. So they are required to practice algebraic proofs, and it helps them kind of understand the math problem that they're doing. And this isn't limited to Math 1. They also do it in Math 2, Geometry, Advanced Functions, Math 3, whatever that is now. So this is an example of a template for a proof. It asks students to give the statement, and then the proofs, or those sentences, would be, actual written out sentences in this column for each one of the steps of the math problem that they do on the left. And basically the goal of proofwriting is to ensure that students can thoroughly explain the functions behind solving a problem. So this is a type of writing that is really useful in a math classroom where you probably wouldn't expect to see a lot of writing. So that is my explanation of writing templates. Thanks, guys.